Joining me is writer and book reviewer Zethu Zulu, who is writing her research paper on Morrison's influence on black culture, particularly the representation of black women in literature. Zethu, good evening.
Good evening.
I mean, I'm sure you're devastated. I mean, you probably feel like you've lived her life in your research, and now to get this news.
I know, but I think I feel honored to have lived in a time of a great like Toni Morrison, and I am glad that I stuck to my guns and decided to write about her work. It's unfortunate that she's passed away, but I think I'll probably have more zeal and vigor now to complete the research paper and do her proud.
So let's talk about the woman, the person, what made her so great, and the significance of her influence. I mean, her work speaks of the American reality, in particularly black women. I've been just looking at just some of the, write-ups just on her books and what. I mean, these stories are just, they grip you, and you're like, how would a character be able to do the things that the characters do in these books, and go on?
Precisely, and I think it's because most of her novels, in fact, if not all, center around black people. And this is happening at a time, so when she starts writing, she's writing at a time when American literature is characterized by white authors, which is how she came to write more theories about how there is a lack of black characters in American literature. So the likes of Virginia Woolf, the likes of William Faulkner, are now the American authors. So she comes at a time when people think that American literature has to be about white people for it to be considered great. So that is part of the reason why her work is celebrated this much, is that her character shifts away from writing about white people, and she centers her work on black and African Americans.
And what has these works reflected? What have they held up a mirror to when it comes to especially black women?
Yes.
And then black women around the world. It wouldn't now, in these days, only be about black women in America. Yeah.
So I think part of the work that she does is that she starts talking about the realities of black people in America, and I suppose all over the world. Slavery, for example, something that had been not spoken about in literature. It was something that was treated as if it didn't even exist. Yeah. The realities of race, growing up as a black person in what was a very, and still is in fact, a very racially divided America. So that is what her work means, is that she is not only reflecting the realities of America, but also celebrating black people, celebrating, or not even necessarily just celebrating, but also normalizing, making it normal to be a black person and your experiences being valid. So she's not only just talking about, but she's also affirming that being a black person, it's okay to be a black person. Yeah.
And reading some of this, it made me question myself, especially a lot of it of women, as a mum as well, in her book Sula, where a woman lets a train run over her leg for insurance money that she would give to her family. And then in Beloved, and then we talk about a slave catcher tracking one of the characters down, and then she cuts her daughter's throat rather than see them go back to slavery. I mean, and you have to sit and you think, would I do that? Would I be able to do that? And these are the real experiences. I'm sure she didn't just dream these up. They may not be true stories, but based on.
And it shows the extremities of racism. It shows the extremities of poverty. It shows the extremisms of slavery, and just how far one is willing to go to survive.
And would have gone at the time.
Precisely, in those circumstances. And of course, some of her detractors would say that some of her work is too gruesome, it's too surreal. But that's the beauty of fiction. You dramatize in order to normalize. And that is precisely what her work has done. So, in Sula, in Beloved, I mean, a mother to essentially kill her own
So
child.
you're better off dead.
You know,
Yeah.
by dramatizing, she has brought it up to the fore, and we are now able to talk about it and at least confront the realities
The powerful feelings of that.
Precisely.
Okay, well, I can see it's going to be an emotional day for you already. I can see those glassy eyes. Thank you very much
Thank you.
for sharing with us, and I wish you all the luck with your research there as well.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Zetu.